taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, what the fuck is up? What's going on? It's your boy T.O., as you know.
It's your boy O-Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Vape Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything TV, medium, from related, along with any of the goddamn thing we're going to talk about, coming to you live direct, Proof Concept Studios. What the fuck? I said that in reverse. I noticed that. I said what the fuck is up to begin with.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to lead with that.
I noticed.
Intros just aren't my thing. I realized that. You know,
you've done
some things are your thing.
Very well for the past several years.
Yeah, but then for like 2 weeks straight, I'll just get it wrong.
Yeah. But, you know, history won't rember the 2 weeks.
But it will. History will remember you by your worst mistakes.
Bad 2 weeks.
Yeah, unless you're in a fucking cab in New York City.
What happened in the cab?
Wait a minute, come on. Jonathan Majors, that was a joke.
I didn't know that happened in the cab.
Yeah, they were in like, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was an Uber, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was one of the two. You know.
Yeah. I don't think Jonathan Majors. Kang ain't in the cab.
It's New York City. Everybody's in a fucking cab.
I've never taken a cab in New York City. Fuck that. They're too expensive.
They're basically the
Subway
same
or walk.
price.
Listen, if you're in New York City at this point,
Yeah.
If you need to get somewhere like, just if you want to get somewhere nice and quiet and clean, take an Uber. Otherwise, take the subway. I'm not getting in a fucking New York City cab.
I mean, same difference. Like
I did it once. It was a mistake.
Did you? Did something happen to you in the cab?
It was just fucking dirty.
Is this a story?
It was expensive as fuck.
I mean,
the cabs in New York, they're jacking up prices because they're trying to compete with Uber. Right? Uber's so convenient. You just call it from your phone. You know who's picking you up. And like, for example, a lot of like women prefer services like Lyft and Uber. I mean, for obvious reasons, right? It's much safer when you know like who's picking you up. You have it's all tracked on your phone.
I mean, is there like an epidemic of fucking cab drivers, like fucking?
No, but either way, like if I'm a woman in general, like I want to know who. If I have the choice between knowing who I'm getting in the cab with, or who I'm getting in the vehicle with, and not just some regular dude in like a taxi, I'd rather know like, all right, this is fucking John who's driving a Honda Civic. Can
we just appreciate just how fucking like there are clearly like there's like a whole fucking guys' rights dedication to how women ain't shit and all this other stuff. Can we fucking just appreciate the statement you just said? The calculations you have to make as a woman in every fucking situation you go into.
I was talking about with someone.
Stressful.
I was talking about this with someone the other day, and she was telling me how she loves to go hiking, but she was like, every time she goes hiking, like a part of her is terrified that she may be attacked. And I'm like, fuck. Like, and at first I was like, you're like by like a bear or like a mountain lion or cougar.
No.
She's like, no, just like a guy. And I'm like,
that dude Ron over there.
I'm like, fuck. I've never in my life had to take that. Like
we still, as humans, we still have to take these calculated.
I mean, if somebody's behind me, I'm like, this motherfucker behind me. Or if I see somebody on the trail, I'm like, let me watch this.
But like, even in like a crowded, like I've heard stories about women who like they just literally like maybe fell asleep on a bus and then they woke up to some dude like fucking with their hand up their skirt or some shit like that. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude?
Again, like things like this. Like again, I've been on many hikes and I've seen like men on the trail and I just walk past dude and was like, hey, what's up? You know,
so
acknowledgement, like I'm looking in your eyes to see if you're tripping or not. But I've never had.
There's no like true deep fear.
I've never been like, oh, is this person going to attack me? Might I get like sexually assaulted in some way? It's crazy, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's fucking. That's exhausting, man.
Yeah, it's like everywhere. It's school, work.
There isn't a place where that isn't a fucking concern.
Yeah,
that's exhausting. Yeah. Yeah, so for all those dudes out there who are just like, fuck all these women, it's just like
fucking Andrew Tate's out now, so you know the incels are, you know, their king.
Oh my, yo, dude, I was actually thinking about this earlier, of just like the fact that he's like basically their god.
Yeah,
you know how like
I don't
Trump
hate
is.
Him. I hate who he emboldens. Again,
I think he's a douche.
I've listened. Yeah, he's a dick. For sure, he's a dick.
Not just a dick. Like he's active in what he's doing. I don't know what the fuck he got. I guess human trafficking or he's trafficking women.
Yeah, now that thing he did get set up. That's why he got released. It was like, but like there are.
Is that the reason why he got set up?
Yeah,
or has it been official that he got set up?
Yeah, they have like text message records. They have the whole thing. Like the women set him up, and it's all in court text documents for sure. But he also is in trouble in like foreign countries like Romania for other things like So he may have actually been involved in like sex.
But that's what I'm.
Whatever.
That's what I'm trying to say. I feel like,
But he got arrested because he was set up
off of some bullshit.
Yeah. So that there's a technicality there, right?
Okay.
If you arrest me, let's say you're investigating me for human trafficking.
Yeah.
But what you arrest me for is that I was actually framed. I was set up. Now that's like a whole like what is it a RICO thing, double jeopardy? Like you can't arrest me.
You're just saying legal terms that you vaguely.
Well, no, so like
heard of.
RICO is like a RICO
RICO
case
is
is
just
conspiracy, right? It
Yeah,
is conspiracy.
sure.
It's like a RICO is essentially like a conspiracy ring. You may not have done the crime, but you were part of a conspiracy.
Sure.
Double jeopardy is essentially cannot be arrested and convicted or tried and convicted for the same crime twice.
What does that have to do with this?
So if in this case, like let's say he was arrested for human trafficking, but the two women who set him up, they actually framed him, right? So he can't be arrested for that thing again unless they try it in a completely different case. Like they had new evidence, like hey, he actually did.
Yeah,
this
you can't be convicted or you can't be tried for the same crime twice, right? Is that what you're effectively? Yeah. So it's not saying that you can't commit or you can't be tried for human trafficking or whatever it is he's being charged with. It's saying that you like in that specific case you can't go back and then relitigate that same case, right? It's got to be a completely different one.
Sure, but now it just looks like they're after you.
Of course they're after him. Like I when people say this, I'm confused. I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what's happening. They're after
also
him.
in the court of public opinion, right? There are a lot of people now. Say, he was framed, but he was.
But
set up,
I feel like
they're just out to get him.
I feel like this is a dangerous way to think because what it means is if you have a big enough audience or a big enough whatever, then what that means is you can never really be held accountable to anything because people will just be like, oh well, there's people who's after him. It's like, well, what if he's just actually a fucking criminal? Like, are you just telling me this dude could just do whatever the fuck he wants to do? Yeah. And we just have to shut the fuck up because oh my god, we don't want to appear as if we're after him.
The court of public opinion is real, like, and the media, like that, the media can sway certain like these high profile cases in a major way too. It's it is fucked up because what matters should be like what the what
did he break?
Did he,
okay, so this is where the whole Trump indictment thing comes in, right?
Yeah.
Where
forgot that happened.
Yeah, I know, right? Former president
it should have happened already. So it's
like, so it's like, all right, we did it. All right, great. But yeah, this is where this whole thing is stupid with him. Of people saying like, oh, this is just going to make him more popular and it's going to make him yada yada, and it's like, did he actually fucking do the shit? If he didn't do the shit, okay, then everybody's correct in their assumption. But if he actually did the shit, which he 100% did what he's being accused of, he might get off on a technicality with this of there's like a statute of limitation in terms of I think one of the charges that they're bringing up against him. I don't really understand exactly how the whole fucking thing is working out, but people are like, oh, well, you should just like let it go because if you can't really get him on this, then it's like it looks bad. It's like, but did he actually fucking break the law or not? Like, because if he did, then what the fuck are we talking about here?
And he's also being investigated for for shit not related.
There's
to that.
a laundry list of shit he's
fraud, tax evasion.
No, not even all that. I think the one that's probably gonna get him, like, or the one that seems like it should be the one he probably definitely needs to go down for is I think the case in Georgia where he basically was like. He basically was just like, yeah, go find me the votes. Like, that's election fraud, right? Like, he was like, they were like, we recounted, we did all the fucking things, you lost. Yeah. And he's just like, just find me 11,000 votes.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think his business, his like the fraud, tax evasions, all the
he
things
he had a Trump University. He had no, my phone. It's Trump's fault. He got me.
That's that Trump phone. Trump cellular. So drop. Calls drop. Phone drops.
No, this is that Apple shit. It survives anything.
Did it crack?
No.
You have a screen protector on it?
I do. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. You see that? I'm not scared of this one.
That's such a small phone.
Yeah. I'm not scared. Anyways, yeah. Like I feel like if you just have a big enough like. And what's crazy is, we hear all these things from like Fox News. They've been talking about this shit, other outlets, other right-wing outlets have been talking about it. What I always hear in like basically any coverage that I hear of it is just like the libs are after him. But nobody actually speaks to what he's actually being charged with. Yeah. They just speak strictly to oh, the liberals are after
They
him.
try and make it seem like it's a conspiracy. Like
Exactly.
they're conspiring against
Like, no, this
him.
motherfucker's just
But
a
he's
crook.
committed
Like,
real crimes. Yeah, I'm not conspiring against you if you really did this shit. I feel like we're living in a crazy time right now. We always joke about this, but like, I feel like every day we're at a point in society where it's like something historical has happened, right? I feel like, if 100 years ago, something historical happened like every so often. Right now, it's like we had a fucking riot on the Capitol, the first president in the United States in U.S. history to ever be indicted. Fucking AI bots are taking over the world.
yeah.
Shit is insane right there's too much going on.
I don't think that that's the case. Like, okay, so for instance, think about like the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? Like, we literally thought we were. Oh, this is World War III. It's literally
Hawaii.
happening.
Remember, they thought I think they thought Korea was launching nuclear missiles or missiles in Hawaii. This is like 2 years ago, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same thing as like a nuclear threat.
They thought Hawaii people in Hawaii were like told to like
Or was it
evacuate.
nuclear threat?
I think it might have been like.
Oh no, but yeah, that was just that wasn't the geopolitical thing. That was just somebody fucked up something where basically I think they tripped like the alarms or some shit. Like, it wasn't actually like a threat of like, because I remember exactly what you're talking about. But I don't think that was like the Cuban Missile Crisis was like if a motherfucker didn't like. I think it's a case where like. And my historical buffs are going to probably make fun of me for not like remembering exactly,
Yeah.
but
How the fuck would I remember the Cuban Missile Crisis?
we could read about it, yeah. Like basically, I think it was a case where because somebody didn't do their job was like how we like avoided it. Like it was like if somebody would have been on their shit, we might have been in it.
Lunch break.
Yeah,
if they came back on time, they were like, but no, I was supposed to take an hour, but I took an extra 15.
Save the world. But think about that, right? Like if that were to happen today, like say like if we were literally on the cusp of like, oh shit, these dudes already launched the nuke, it's done. We got to respond in kind before shit is too late.
Yeah.
Like with how fast information spreads today, oh, we'd be done. It's a wrap, dude.
Yeah, information.
Are you kidding me?
Spreads like literally. Not validated. There's no checking.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm
spreads.
saying. It wouldn't even be off of if the thing actually happened or not, but because of just the volume of people making rash decisions because they read this or they saw this or whatever the case is, the panic and the pandemonium would be insane.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's an interesting take on this though, right? Information these days. So I think 50 years ago, information spread a lot slower, right? There was no Twitter, there was no Facebook, Instagram, social media, blah, 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 right? Which also means incorrect information stayed in the news cycle for a lot longer before it was corrected. Because it was, like let's say an incorrect piece of information was put out into the news cycle. It would take much longer to correct it because the news cycle was slower.
If it was even corrected at all.
Yeah. But now, if something wrong is put out, let's say like correct information is discovered, is that, hey, look at the whole Jonathan Majors thing, right? We joked about it at the beginning of the show. Initially was put out that like, yo, he got arrested for like assault and abuse, blah blah blah, and then
he did.
He did,
literally,
yeah. But like in New York City, the police have to make an arrest, so they made an arrest, and then like hours later or like a day later, it was put out that like, here's the text chain between him and the woman that like essentially, and she recanted.
Do we want to talk about that now, or do you want to get into some other shit first?
Let's get into some other shit first, and then we'll. You know what? Fuck
Let's
it,
just get into now. We're talking about it. Yeah.
Everyone's on trial right now. Trump, Gwyneth Paltrow,
well, Trump
Kang
is.
the Conqueror.
I don't think Trump is going to go to trial. I think Trump's probably going to settle.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know how these things go, but I would like.
Yeah.
I'm going to call up
I don't.
my lawyer
There's
friends.
just
call my
no
brother.
way.
But, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, like there's just no way that I see Trump like
Standing
potentially
trial.
like sitting on the witness stand.
Oh my god, his lawyer
Dude, the spectacle.
will do anything if he pays them.
He'd incriminate like they basically.
Oh my god, yeah, he would incriminate himself
like.
Immediately.
He would incriminate himself not just for the case that's happening, but for like other cases they have pending.
Yeah.
Those lawyers are just sitting in the fucking courtroom like, God damn.
If I'm Trump's lawyer, I need my money up front. I'm not.
And he's not going to pay you for it either. Yeah. He doesn't do that.
Here. Yeah. Do you know how many? I think he's on. I was reading this thing. I think he's on his like
ninth lawyer,
30th lawyer since being in office.
Yeah.
Why would you take this case? Again, I need the money up front. And also it's a reputation
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
too. If you
don't have a
Trump,
reputation, then who gives a shit, right?
and you might be able to build one off of it, but
Yeah.
if you do have a reputation as a reputable lawyer,
I mean, at this point, he doesn't have. That's not the people he's dealing with.
Yeah.
He's dealing with the people who
scumbags.
Yeah, he's dealing
Lawyer
with
just got out on tax evasion,
fucking-
so it's like I'll represent you.
who represents Future for all of his proceedings. Is that's who's
know.
representing Trump. Trump right now. Okay, so let's talk about the Jonathan Majors thing. So last weekend, was it last weekend? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it was
so.
last weekend. So Jonathan Majors, it come out that he was arrested in New York City for potentially allegedly domestic abuse, and he was arrested, but I think shortly thereafter released. Let me give you a few more details. A preliminary investigation determined that 33-year-old male was involved in a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old woman. Read a statement from the Deputy Commissioner Public Information. The victim informed police she was assaulted. Officers placed the 33-year-old male into custody without incident. The victim sustained minor injuries to the head, neck, and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. Now, what always sounded fucking weird to me, minor injuries, but then you tack on stable condition. I was like, that sounds
Stale
weird.
condition or stable condition?
Which that sounds weird as fuck. It's like, why are you even talking about stable condition if you just have minor injuries to your arm and neck?
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
head
of
and
course
neck.
you're stable.
Yeah, like what that's not like if you said you got stabbed, okay, I understand the stable
And
condition.
Now, what constitutes a minor injury versus a major injury? I would imagine a minor injury is like a bruise, cuts and scratches, scrapes, and, things like that. Majors like an open wound, stab, something broken. Like that's the difference. So if you have a minor injury, you're in stable condition.
Yeah, why is that even enter into the conversation? Anyways, when I was first reading about the story, that's one thing that was I was like, that's a weird way to phrase it. Like, why? So, come to find out that the woman in question, I think she was being hospitalized not for, physical injuries, but for, I think she had some sort of mental episode. At least that's the rumors because there are a lot of things being said about this. What I'm going to try to do, and I think I've done it for the most part, is to basically just say what we know definitively. He was arrested. She was taken to a hospital. That's, if I'm being honest, that's the only two pieces of information that we actually fucking know for sure.
We do know that she did publicly recant her statement, and the lawyer.
I don't know if she publicly did it, but she
in text messages. Well, I don't know if
no,
she did it
exactly.
publicly,
I don't know. She didn't know publicly.
The text messages that his lawyers released are in the conversation with
his lawyers released that.
Yeah.
She didn't do shit, right?
Well, I mean, if you release text, if you say that I assault you and you text me like, hey, you know what? Like,
I didn't publicly issue any statements that said that that you didn't do that, right?
But I do think text messages, any type of communication that may recant what you claim have happened, in a way.
I wouldn't
I don't know
characterize
what the legal term is.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't characterize that as me publicly recanting what happened.
Sure,
I would say
you did not come out and publicly do it.
Exactly.
There is just communication between you and I.
Sure.
Of what may look like recanting.
Yeah, I'll get to the text messages here in a moment. So, shortly thereafter, it was maybe Monday or Tuesday, whatever. There's I think Jonathan Majors' attorney basically, and I don't know if I care for his attorney kind of being as vocal as they're being, because it kind of makes it just look like a fucking kind of seems like you're just trying to play damage control here, versus you've actually got some shit. But in any case, his lawyer basically said, hey, this is all erroneous. We've got videotape, we've got eyewitness testimony, and the woman in question, who is widely believed to be his girlfriend, or I guess was his girlfriend, she retracted her charges. Now, what's a mystery is that he's still been charged with assault and harassment. How's that possible if the person's pulled back their? Because doesn't she have to press charges versus the cops can't just press charges, right? Like randomly.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't. This is where this is where I should have paid more attention in the one law class that I took. So there's an arrest there, and like when you're arrested, you're charged with something. You're arrested and charged, right, based off of what someone may claim. And in certain states, let's say I claim that you assaulted me, even if after you've been arrested,
It's proven that I did.
even if I say you didn't, you still are being arrested and charged because I could be being pressured to say that the thing never happened, even though it did. So they're going to conduct somewhat of an investigation. Now, what follows charges is when you're when you're indicted, and then following an indictment is like a sentencing, right? I think that is like the legal flow.
Yeah.
So one of the things I saw is that the lawyer said that like he's completely innocent and is probably the victim of an altercation with a woman he knows, meaning that like he was the one who might be assaulted, and apparently there might be video footage. So his lawyer claims that the evidence that they have includes video footage from the vehicle where this episode took place, witness testimony from the driver and others who both saw and heard the episode, and most importantly, 2 written statements from the woman recanting these allegations.
Yeah. And just for context, I realized we didn't do this from the beginning. Those who don't know who Jonathan Majors is, he has basically every movie in theater right now he has Jonathan Majors in it, either in it, or he's potentially doing a voiceover in it, or he is in the credits somehow. Even if he wasn't actually in the movie, he just ends up in the credits of just like, yeah, Jonathan Majors.
Unlike Vin Diesel.
Yeah. We wanted him here. So anyways, so he's King the Conqueror. He was just recently in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. He was in just Creed 3. Mm-hmm. He's got a couple other
Damian
movies.
Anderson in Creed 3.
Yeah, he's got a couple other movies coming out more recently. He's playing the weightlifting dude.
Is it Ronnie Coleman or something?
I think I don't know. I forget what the dude with the Magazine Dreams, I believe. Majors, who plays Killian Maddox, amateur bodybuilder who struggles to find a human connection as he enters the world of celebrity. Anyways, doesn't really fucking matter.
So basically, he's on the fucking rise, right? Right now, his career is not necessarily like
not on the
he's
rise.
Not at the peak of his career, but like he's very floating highly at the top.
It's close,
right now. Hollywood. So this, I mean, definitely like a huge image blow, right? Even if, let's say, like, you know, I don't want to, just because like I'm a man, assume that he's innocent, right?
Yeah.
I want to stay away from that, because that's not always the case. There could be guilt here from both parties, one side over what I don't know. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Let's say it does come out that like, hey, you know what? Like this was an argument between couple. You know, maybe he was the one who was assaulted. Maybe there is video footage that will like exalt. Is it
exonerate?
Exonerate, yeah, exonerate him of like any guilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even then, there's still a lingering image blow when you're in Hollywood and like something along these lines happens, right? Drug use, assault, alcoholism, DUI. There's going to be a lingering image blow.
I would argue that it just depends on the person and the way the public wants to handle it, right? Like, and when I say public, I kind of mean more of like the media, because the media typically doesn't do anything that they don't want to do unless they're forced to, meaning that if it's somebody that they adore and that for whatever reason they just want to keep in good graces, then you'll never see, like, so for instance, I know Jeremy Renner, he's been accused of domestic abuse from, I think his either wife or ex-wife or something like that. That dude's in every fucking Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, but nobody said shit about it,
Yeah,
right?
Dana White.
Dana White, same thing.
In front of like at a party or something like that.
He got on camera and like apologized and yada yada, but I don't see anybody like ever bringing that up.
This might sound fucked up.
Yeah.
But do you think the person who does the thing, right, if we like expect it from them or don't expect it from them, do you think that may carry a bit of weight in how they either overcome the thing or if they never overcome it? Like, for example, if Triple H back in the day were to like hit somebody, or anyone who's like a professional athlete or in a certain sport, or just
I still think it can be damaging.
Image.
I still, and especially with like pro wrestlers, like, of course, like, because we all know that, hey, this is scripted. So if we hear some shit that's not scripted, like, so for instance, Mr. Vince McMahon, right, where it's just like his persona has been like, of course he's like cheating on his wife, right, but behind closed doors, he literally was cheating on his wife,
Yeah.
right, and to the degree where he had to pay women off from talking, and
Damn, I hope I never end up in one of those situations where I got to pay somebody off.
yeah, it's very easy not to. Yeah, you know, like you can, you have control of the situation.
Yeah.
You can very much easily not ever have that
I
be
like
the
to put
case.
myself in sticky predicaments.
We're gonna talk here in a moment about some stuff that we're watching. I just got finished done watching season 2 of You, because I just stopped at season 1 and I never went back to like or watched season 2 as it was coming out. And every time I see Joe, it's just like, Joe, all of this is preventable. There's nothing that's happening here that's like you're being forced to do. You've been given chance after fucking chance. You could not build a fucking see-through cell. You could just not do that, right? And yet you do. You know, like,
as you get into future seasons, you'll realize that like he becomes more like self-aware of like, I do this to myself.
Yeah, no shit.
You know, with that Joe voice.
But anyways, like I think it sort of is what I'm trying to say is that like, if it's expected of you, I think you still get backlash, but maybe not as much backlash as if you were a squeaky clean person, because we always would view that. So for instance, whenever Donald Trump does anything, like there was like diminishing return in terms of like how much we would care, because at a certain point you're just like, I expect him to be a dirtbag, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't care anymore, you know?
The more you expect it, the less, and the crime could be even more heinous, but if you expect it, you're like, okay, well, I expected it.
What do you do? Because what we hate more than anything is the perceived hypocrisy of others. We're hypocritical just by nature. I think we are born to be hypocritical, right? So we're not capable of recognizing the hypocrisy in ourselves, at least uniquely enough. But what we really fucking hate is seeing others be hypocrites. Yeah. So that's why it's always that much like if Bernie Sanders came out tomorrow and was just like, and is accused of the same exact shit Trump is, right? Mm-hmm. The world would, they would try to burn his house down.
Which things though? Because I'm surprised.
Anything that Trump is being accused
Bernie
of.
paid off Stormy Daniels for sex. You know what,
Bernie?
Yeah, I give it to him. Give him more pussy. Start a GoFundMe. Let's give him some more pussy because he's almost dead. So, you know,
they're all almost dead.
Clap some cheeks one more time.
Even though Trump doesn't look like it, he's definitely like I feel like it's one of those things where it's like the villain like just lives so long and just like it's so sloppy that you're just like, how the fuck are you surviving like this?
Yeah.
But he'll croak soon enough.
Like Jabba the Hutt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who was really listening to him? He couldn't even leave the room. Let's just go outside and like talk about how we're gonna betray
it's his
him.
mind that they respected. Yeah. But
he was still getting bitches too.
Back
Princess Leia.
I don't think he got. I think he abducted her. I think those are two different things.
Very true. Yeah.
Back to this Jonathan Majors thing. So the main thing that I think I want to kind of like, the main thing that I take away from it is when it first happened, you would see there was like a fury online of just, oh, his career's over. This is it for Jonathan Majors, yada, yada. And this is really why I wanted to record this past weekend, because I wanted to get it out there before it became like the hot thing to say of just like, slow the fuck down. Like we don't know what the fuck happened here. Right. Like as I was reading through the thing, it was like detail, and it's depending on what publication you read it from, it was just like framed in really like different ways.
For sure.
And so it was just like, I don't think we have enough information here to really fucking make an assertion of like what the fuck happened here, right?
That's where you go back to the court of public opinion. It is so much faster than, you know, obviously like the courts that are actually going to try and see, and even if this even makes it to court, but the opinions they're online as soon as the news drops. Within a minute, there are opinions online about what just happened.
Yeah, for sure. And there were a couple of directors that came out and were like, yeah, we kind of expected this of Jonathan Majors. We've been trying to tell people for a long time that he's like a sociopath and all this other
Ben
stuff.
Affleck, bro, you got your shit too, bro.
I don't, and again, I didn't look deeply into it enough to know if it's people who have worked with Majors before. I would assume so in some sort of capacity that they worked with Majors. So you basically get an indictment on his character, right?
Yeah.
When this happens, and whether or not anything actually happens with this, still remains to be seen. But the damage to his character is probably going to outlive whatever the thing actually is, right?
Yeah.
Now,
but here's the thing, though, that's more sinister about all this, right? When we talk about like how all the different news publications somewhat took like different spins on it, different angles, right? Some seem more blamey, some seem more judgy, some seem more like, hey, this is what's just happening. We don't know all the details. Details are coming. Stay tuned for more information from our publication. Depending on, like, as a listener, depending on what publication you hear or see or read the news from first, that is going to greatly impact how you view the thing, right? So that even takes the court of public opinion further, because if I go to People magazine, if I go to like LA Times, New York Times, Vanity Fair, if fucking Radar, or if I'm on World Star, depending on where I see the thing, that is also going to shape how
No, of course.
how quickly I form an opinion about it,
100%.
even though the information is most part wrong or inaccurate, or it's just not fully fleshed out.
It's why like the viewers of like CNN are, different, but basically the same as the viewers of like Fox News, right? You can have the same exact story happen, but then get wildly takeaways from it of what exactly happened here, who are all the players, what does this actually mean? You can get wildly different things depending on what publication you go to. But then on top of all that, you had the the Army who immediately pulled. They just started a new ad, which honestly, from the beginning, I thought that was like a weird thing. Like, was he in the Army or some shit? I don't fucking know. But then on top of that,
put
it's
on
just
this
like
army green jacket. And
yeah,
say,
who
be
gives
all
a shit,
can
right?
be.
You look like you're in Army. So, but even when I first saw that, I was like,
Yeah, it was odd to me too. I'm like, I know he had an army and
nigga,
in
should you
Ant-Man,
really be
but
telling people to fucking go to the Army?
Yeah.
Fucking like, I don't. He said, he had it. No, you're an idiot, dude.
you caught that late.
yeah, I did. I was thinking about what I was saying too much. So they immediately pulled that, right? Now Marvel hasn't really said anything about it. They've been pretty quiet about it. Marvel's got a whole shit show of a problem themselves, even beyond Jonathan Majors, although that's a pretty significant issue. I would argue.
Smart to keep quiet. There's not enough information.
No, yeah, you got to let the shit play out. But then on top of all that, you have these text messages that have, I think maybe later in the week, I think maybe like Wednesday or Thursday, these text messages were dropped. Now, they were released from Jonathan Majors' lawyer to TMZ. As a fucking lawyer.
So
what?
TMZ surprisingly has a history of being the first celebrity news publication to break like some of the most, the Whitney Houston death, Michael Jackson, Prince, like they break if it's celebrity news and you want it from a well-known source or organization, you might go to Harvey Levin.
I don't know what his name is.
But I know his name's Harvey.
His first name's Harvey.
Leak it to TMZ and let TMZ then leak it. So what you want to do is distance it from Jonathan. Like, just as a lawyer,
as his lawyer, you're his mouth, like, and everybody knows that it came from. Everybody knows it came from Jonathan Majors' lawyer. Like, that's not, nobody's confused by that, right? As a lawyer, it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, what do you like? Okay, this is like evidence, sure. Maybe you can consider that evidence. I think it's pretty debatable on whether you actually can. But then two, it's you're trying to persuade public opinion, but that shouldn't be your fucking job here in this case, right? That's for his like reps and shit like that to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
His publicist.
You're his lawyer, not his fucking publicist, right?
Maybe the lawyer jumped the gun, or he was trying to like play two roles, get two checks, publicist and lawyer. It is usually in a situation like this, a message or a note, a letter.
Somehow somebody got a hold of it. But if we know who the fuck it came from, if they're saying like, we got this from the Jonathan Majors lawyer, well, why? Like, what do? You have a fucking case going on? Like,
I think in a case like this, if it were to come from a publicist, it would seem like damage control. If it comes from the lawyer,
that's
seems
exactly
like this is
no. That's even worse because it still seems like damage control. Except it's coming
but it
from your
also
lawyer.
does seem like it's coming from a reputable source. A lawyer will have like
no. I'm not saying like
validated these things.
But I don't think that the question is whether these text messages are true. I don't think that's what anybody's questioning, right? We see these text messages, we just assume that he just screenshotted the text messages that he received from her. I don't think anybody's questioning that, right? Like the validity of it. Like, because I think you're speaking to that people think it's a much more credible source if it's coming from the lawyer.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is if you are the lawyer, why are you playing any of these games? Shouldn't your job be to gather as much evidence, present them to the authorities to say, hey, this is why my client should be, all charges should be dropped, yada, yada, whatever the case is. Not playing games with the public. Like, but that's what I'm saying. From the very jump, it seems like the lawyer has been way more. And what the bad feeling that leaves me with is that the lawyer doesn't actually believe that they can actually they don't believe in the evidence that they actually have. So all you really have in that case is to sway public opinion to the degree to which people either just forget about this, say you get the woman to drop the charges or whatever the case is.
I mean, I do think a big part of it is you're trying to protect your client's image. So like, why?
But as a lawyer, why do you care about that? Like, you know what I mean? Or not? No, I'm sorry.
You represent your client. So if your client cares about it, you have to care about it.
No, not. I'm sorry. Not why do you care about it, but that isn't part of your job to help their image, right? Or at least to help their image in relation to just the public, because it's not as if the lawyer gave this directly to the cops.
Yeah.
The lawyer gave this to TMZ. That's
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah, like literally, like it, or at least in an article
the lawyer
that I read,
released it to TMZ before they were shared with the police department.
From that part of it, I'm not sure about it in terms of if it was before the cops. But either way, what I'm saying is, why is the lawyer releasing this to the public at all? Like, why is it'd be different if it was leaked from somewhere else or whatever the case is. But if it's a direct thread of this is directly coming from the lawyer, either that or somebody just fucked up and like released their source when they shouldn't have, right? That, you know, they could say, hey, we got these text messages, but I'm not going to release my source of where I got it from. Obviously, you know, you got them from fucking Jonathan Majors or somebody in his camp. Like, that's pretty fucking obvious.
You were in a group chat.
Somehow it's a 3-way group chat with you,
that
him,
might
and
be
his
smart.
girl.
Listen, if I'm a major celebrity, my lawyer's in every chat.
You use explicitly. You don't want your lawyer in every chat,
except for the WhatsApp chat with the overseas number.
Yeah. So the last takeaway that I'll say about this is, so everybody was very quick to say, hey, oh, he's guilty, his career is over. And now at the release of these text messages, everybody's equally as quick to say, oh, fuck, that proved it. He didn't do shit. Reading through those text messages, I don't think they prove shit, dude. Like, if I'm being perfectly fucking honest here, because there's so many ways you can read into explicitly what the text messages say. Like, so for instance, so you have the start of the thread. Basically he says, like, did you leave the keys? And then he says goodbye. I'm assuming like maybe that's a part of like a breakup, maybe. And then the next message is, I guess, after this incident happened, she says, please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you wouldn't be charged. They said that they had to arrest you as a protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did this, and I'm so sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault trying to grab your phone. Now that like seems like a curious line, because it's like, okay, well then what then happened after he grabbed your phone? Like, what did he hit you? What actually happened? So I don't know if that's necessarily helping him in this case. And then she says, I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. She says, I love you. They just called again to check on me, and I reiterated that this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessings of charges being placed. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank that did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told about this. She ensured this to me. Is going to be told, I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. And it sounds like a very business transaction type of situation.
Yeah, she's trying to protect the money,
the brand.
I don't want to blame her, judge her, whatnot, but it does sound like in a way she, despite whatever may have actually happened, like let's say there was an assault or abuse, it sounds like she does understand like how these things it could impact like his career moving forward.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
like,
that's
the money.
But and then she also finishes out by saying here, I also told them that I also told the judge. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out, and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior out of care. She promised all will be relayed. All of that reads to me. You can read that a number of different ways. You could read that as just face value what she's saying.
Communication between two people.
Exactly, but you could also read that as perhaps two other ways of
damage control.
Well, damage control in the terms of like kind of like coercion a little bit of just like, bitch, you know what the fuck to say in these text messages. You better get that shit right. You know what I mean? Like, so you could kind of read into it a little bit like that because if I'm being honest, it kind of reads like that a little bit with some of the things that she's saying. She's like, there isn't concern of like what the fuck actually happened versus how people should view what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, hey, we got out of the cab, you tripped me. I play of like, fuck. It's like,
so another like 10 minutes or so. So let's talk about this Gwyneth Paltrow shit. And to be honest, I don't even know why this is in the news cycle. This really doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But let's rewind.
It's a big deal to them, I guess.
Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. So, and I'm not gonna fucking go back in the futures past to fucking recap all of this shit. But apparently, in 2016, there was a ski crash incident between Gwyneth Paltrow and retired optometrist Dr. Terry Sanderson, who like suffered injuries during a ski crash, and he sued her. And several years later, just fucking like 7 years later, this has now made it to trial. Gwyneth Paltrow is a celebrity Hollywood actress. She's got some goop shit too. So this is like in the news cycle. Again, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but so and I'll read this excerpt here. So 8 days after, after 8 days of proceedings in Utah court, Gwyneth Paltrow has been found not liable for injuries that retired optometrist Dr. Terry Sanders suffered in a 2016 ski crash. Now, one of the juries has opted to. So one of the juries is now like speaking publicly. Anyway, so she won her case, right?
Yeah.
And one of the big things that the notable detail from this case was that she was awarded a symbolic $1 in addition to her like legal fees in her countersuit against Dr. Terry Sanderson, which, if you remember, I think it was like Taylor Swift who did something similar in a case that she was involved in years ago, requesting $1 in symbolic damage payments or whatever. I respect that move because I'm not sure if this optometrist is really caked up like that, but for her saying, you know what, despite all of this, despite years of like back and forth in court, me having to like hire a lawyer and legal fees, blah, 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 like I'm only going to countersue you for $1 symbolically. I will give her some respect to that because I think their money's probably a little bit different. Why this is in the news cycle and it's at the top of the news cycle, I don't know.
Well, it's a high... Yeah, I struggle to say high-profile celebrity because I would argue that Gwyneth Paltrow, even though she's, I think, won an Oscar. I'm pretty sure she's won an Oscar.
I watched some clips from the court hearings. Like, she was as boring in court as she was in all the Iron Man movies. I don't get it, bro. Tony could do better.
Let me just say real quick. So I don't particularly care about the particular case, like in terms of who does, right? Like it doesn't really impact anybody except for the people actually like involved, right? But I feel a type of way about Gwyneth Paltrow because I think I make no bones about it. I'm a Coldplay fan, and Chris Martin, obviously the lead singer of Coldplay, and they have a very sort of infamous divorce in which I think she used the term conscious uncoupling. I believe that's where that term comes from. Is from that whole scenario.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just very. Like you sound like an asshole.
It's a very pretentious way to say, "Hey, we're getting a divorce," right?
Yeah.
And so I since that I don't really fuck with her, right?
Yeah.
But
it's not like her upper lip.
I don't like. I realize how this is going to sound. I do realize exactly how it I do realize how this is going to sound, but she just looks like to me the embodiment of all the entitlement that we talk about Karens running around with. Mm-hmm. I have nothing in particular to say. I'm sure if I looked up some stuff, I'm sure I'll find some fucked up shit she said, done, yada yada. But I don't even care to because I don't care that much, right? But she just has the swagger of a person who just, oh, you really like. There's been some clips in here where she, I think it was like
the clips
asked
from the
her,
courtroom make her look really bad.
Oh my god,
she just has this face of just like pretentiousness.
It's like,
I don't even know why I'm here. What's going on?
Yeah,
I'm the victim.
Well, actually, apparently they found that she was. Or at least maybe that she wasn't the
I don't even know if
culprit.
she really knew what she was on trial for. She didn't even know she didn't know she was in the Spider-Man No Way Home
Yeah,
movie.
she's like, I was in a Spider-Man movie.
I think she barely knows.
Yeah, she's like, did the check clear? I don't know. Get my lawyers on the phone. Yeah, like so. At one point during the trial, they asked her like, and I, what was the result of all this for you? She's like, I lost half a day of skiing.
Yeah,
and it was just like, all right,
I should be on
the dude
slopes.
has broken ribs, concussed,
collapsed lung. She lost half a day of skiing. Half a day. And she said a whole day. You know what I mean?
No.
There
There is
lodging fees.
There is
equipment
no
rental fees.
acceptable when you're fucking rich. I don't think I
Half
give
day
a
makes you
shit.
sound like more of a
Dude
come on
almost
now.
died, and you're like, I mean, I had to spend time with my kids.
Yeah. The nanny can only stay half the day. I usually don't like to see my kids most of the day.
But and honestly, that's not like really like that bad. But
Yeah.
it's just like the optics of it. She just reeks. Like those like cartoon smelly lines. She just reeks of that fucking privilege. It just oozes off of her. And with this whole goop thing where she just gets women to buy fucking really stupid shit,
what is goop?
stickers. It's just they just sell a lot of stupid shit. And because it's expensive, they buy it, and it's annoying.
It's a modern day lifestyle brand. It's
it's nonsense.
Wellness advice from doctors, vetted travel recommendations. Sounds like bullshit.
She looks like the person to say this is a modern aged advanced healing techniques. It's just like, so one of the things that they sell are like stickers, and they're like healing stickers. These stickers will I think it's like, I could be getting this wrong. I'm probably getting it wrong, but it's like $200 for like the set of stickers. Fucking stickers. Like, what are we doing? Why does it cost $200? And then there's like this egg that women are supposed to put in their vaginas, and it's supposed to help with like healing and chakra and all this other shit. It's like, but I think that's just like I think it's just an egg, dude. Yeah. I think that's just a fucking glass egg that you got there. I don't think that's anything that's going to help you out. But all right, go for it.
They have this thing. It's called like Airwave Ion. It's $199. It's an air pulsing sex toy for penis owners.
I mean, even that sounds more useful than any of like the other shit that I've heard.
Looking at all the sex toy stuff they have. There's this thing. It's called it's a bomb. It's called Pure Delight Orgasm Bomb. I guess it's just like KY jelly. Then they have this thing called Goop Wellness. It's called DTF. It supports women's sexual desire, arousal, and mood.
What is it? A pill? Is it
I guess that's some gummies that you take, $60 gummies you take.
Them bitches are just the fucking Hasbro.
I don't need that shit. I got the Johnny Walker. What are you talking about?
No, she definitely got that shit. Like the fucking
lying to these motherfuckers.
You know them gummies that they sell in the stores, right? Like she just rebranded it as like, oh yeah, just slap Goop on it. It's fine. They won't know. Anyways, she just reeks of this like fucking privilege, entitlement, and I just don't overall like like sometimes I don't really have a reason why I don't like you. I just know I fucking don't.
It's
you know
a feeling.
What I mean? I just know we won't fucking get along. Like if we were to get stuck in an elevator together, I know within the first 30 seconds I'd want to fucking punch you in the face.
Yeah. That movie where they got stuck on the elevator and they all had to like kill each other. They all kept dying. Just let it be reversed.
We are not advocating for Gwyneth Paltrow's death. That is not what we're advocating on this podcast.
She just beat I don't want to see her in court. She's 1-0.
Her lawyers are suited the fuck up. They are ready for war. All right. Do we want to talk about anything else before we get the fuck out of here?
I think there was one of the trailers that I wanted to check out.
Oh, yeah?
This fucking asteroid city looks silly.
Asteroid.
Do you want to check that out? Or?
Yeah, let's check it out. So it's Wes Anderson's new movie. So let me give you a little bit of background. The itinerary of a junior stargazer convention is spectacularly disrupted by world-changing events. Again, directed by Wes Anderson, written by Anderson as well as Roman Coppola, starring Hong Chow, Tom Hanks, Margot Robbie, Bryan Cranston, among a litany of other people. Just everybody in Hollywood is in this movie. This is due out in June 23rd of this year. Let's check out Asteroid City.
Jeffrey Wright, Steve Carell.
What do those pulses indicate?
What? Oh, the beeps and blips? We don't know.
Some of our information about outer space may no longer be completely accurate. Anyway, there's still only 9 planets in the solar system as far as we know. Billy?
Except now there's an alien.
What's happening now?
I don't know. I don't like the way that guy looked at us. The alien.
How did he look?
Like we're doomed.
Maybe we are.
I've just informed the president.
How long can they keep us in Asteroid City legally?
The world will never be the same.
That's an alien doing jumping jacks. That's an alien in a top hat.
What's out there? The meaning of life. Maybe there is one.
Are you married?
I'm a widower. But don't tell my kids.
You're saying her mother died 3 weeks ago?
Let's say she's in heaven. Which doesn't exist for me, of course, but you're Episcopalian.
In my loneliness, I learned to give complete and unquestioning faith to the people I love. I don't know if that includes you, but it included my daughter and your 4 children.
Sometimes I think I feel more at home outside the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh, wow. Me too.
They're strange, aren't they? They're children. Compared to normal people.
Yes, that's correct.
It's true.
Freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast.
I do a nude scene. You want to see it?
Huh? Did I say yes?
You didn't say anything.
I meant yes. My mouth didn't speak.
I love little quirky movies like this. They're just a huge ensemble cast. It's clearly not a movie that's probably going to take itself too seriously.
I mean, it seems like a very typical Wes Anderson movie. Have you do you remember watching any of Wes Anderson's movies?
Not particularly,
okay.
But I know Wes Anderson has a very distinct style of film.
Yes, this is
yeah. I don't love any of his films particularly. I can't really recall like the last one I watched, but like he has a style.
Remember, I think maybe Moonrise Kingdom. I think is probably my favorite Wes Anderson movie, and I think I'm pretty sure, like Budapest Hotel. I don't know the Royal Tenenbaums.
Hotel.
Yeah,
Royal Tenenbaums is good. Yep.
Yeah, you're like obviously clearly like that's his thing is to have this particular like style. I just after a career of making movies, it's like don't you just want to make some like a John Wick or some shit? Like I'm not saying that he should make a John Wick. What I'm saying,
Marvel movies.
Or not even something commercial. What I mean is just something different than vastly different than what because you just keep repeating kind of the same style. And I understand that it's your style, but it's super stylistic.
Yeah.
And I can't like. Do you dream in this manner? Like like
he has to see the world in this way with like short, quick conversations and these like awkward, like quirky moments that these weird stories that all tie together.
Yeah.
He good storyteller. He definitely has a way of telling his stories. But he's made a career of it. And I will say that I saw a clip of this and I did like it, which is why I want to watch this trailer. So, but yeah. Anyway, short show today. My fault. I've got some shit to do. Saturday's the only day I can do it.
Yeah. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get back at you hopefully next week, same time, same place. Well, who knows what the fuck that's actually going to be. But yeah, we'll be back. Until then, we'll go ahead and hit the usual protocol.
Fade out.
Fade the fuck out, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice weekend. Nice week. Hey, be careful when you're in cabs and or Ubers. Just make sure there's video involved.
Anyway, be careful.
Yeah, just got to... Peace.